This spinning top has shipped over 560 million times. This toy once beat its maker's biggest rival. Then it helped that rival take the company over. Every few years, this toy resets itself completely. That's not wear and tear. That's the business model. A grandmother gave a 6-year-old a toy. Years later, he beat the world for it. One employee's failed idea became a global toy. It took 2 failures to get there. This is why. At some point, a spinning top ended up in your hands. A birthday, a hand-me-down, a cereal box promo. It doesn't matter which. For a while, it was just a toy you flicked across a kitchen floor. That 560 million number you just heard, that's the same toy, shipped to more than 80 countries since 1999. Most people who owned one eventually put it in a drawer and moved on. And that was that. But if you actually kept playing, competitively, chasing the current version, the company made sure of one thing. You'd have to buy it, in full, 4 separate times. And the reason why starts with a company that nearly lost everything to its oldest rival. Beyblade comes from a Japanese toy company called Takara. Its biggest competitor was a company called Tomy, founded decades earlier in 1924. For most of the 20th century, Takara and Tomy were genuine rivals. They fought for the same kids, the same stores, the same licensing deals. Takara had its own hit franchises, including Transformers, sold internationally through Hasbro. Tomy had its own, including Tomica die-cast cars and the Zoids toy line. In 2001, Beyblade was the reason Takara actually pulled ahead. Its success pushed Takara past Tomy into second place in the Japanese toy market that year. By 2005, the original Beyblade line had sold over 100 million units worldwide, one of the best-selling toy lines on Earth at the time. It didn't last. By 2004, a redesign called the hard metal system failed to keep kids interested. Beyblade's popularity collapsed. Hasbro itself confirmed it, blaming a weak second quarter that year directly on falling Beyblade sales, a drop of $34 million in a single quarter alone. By 2005, the toy had faded almost completely, and Takara's finances went down with it. That same year, Takara and Tomy announced they would merge. On paper, it was called a merger. In the press at the time, it was widely described as something closer to a takeover. Tomy, absorbing a financially weakened Takara. Even the company's name reflected it. Internationally, the merged company dropped the Takara name entirely and traded as Tomy, keeping the combined Takara Tomy name only inside Japan. The toy that once helped Takara beat its biggest rival is part of the reason that rival ended up in control of the company that made it, right down to whose name stayed on the door. Beyblade didn't just make Takara money. It's part of the reason Takara stopped being Takara's to run. Since 1999, Beyblade has been rebuilt from the ground up 3 separate times. The original series ran from 1999 to 2005. Metal Fight Beyblade replaced it in 2008. Beyblade Burst replaced that in 2015. Beyblade X replaced Burst in 2023, and it's the current version being sold today. Each of those generations uses a different part system. Most of them can't battle each other. Beyblade X made this explicit. Takara Tomy markets Beyblade X under a new label entirely, calling it Gear Sports, and giving it a new mechanic called X-Dash, where gears on the top engage with the stadium itself for extra acceleration. None of that new hardware talks to the old hardware. Takara Tomy's own materials describe its parts as generation exclusive, incompatible with the Burst generation that came directly before it. The stated reason is balanced gameplay integrity, making sure every part is built for the same physics. The actual effect is simpler. If your entire collection is from the last generation, none of it works in the new one. You don't need your Beyblade to break. The company just needs to release the next one. Beyblade doesn't sell you a better top. It sells you a reason your old one stopped counting. Beyblade isn't the only toy or game built this way. Pokémon does something almost identical with its trading card game. Every year, it retires a chunk of older cards from its official standard tournament format, in a process it calls rotation. Cards get marked with a small regulation letter, and once that letter ages out, the card can't be played in standard events anymore, no matter how good it still is. The cards themselves still exist, And you can still technically play with them at home. They just stop being legal at the events that actually matter to a competitive player. Magic. The Gathering runs the same system on its own standard format, on a roughly 2-year cycle. Different products, different companies, same idea. Keep the old version technically playable, just not competitively relevant, and the upgrade sells itself. None of this stopped the toy from becoming enormous. In October 2025, Takara Tomy held the first-ever Beyblade X World Championship at Tokyo Tower. Over 15,000 competitors from 21 regions had qualified to get there. They ranged in age from 6 to 67. Only 33 of them made it to the final stage in Japan. The event streamed to roughly 190,000 viewers worldwide. By most players' own accounts, there's little or no cash prize on the table for winning, sometimes just more Beyblades. The championship itself wasn't even run directly by Takara Tomy or Hasbro. It was organized by ADK Emotions, a licensing and marketing company that handles Beyblade's promotion on the manufacturer's behalf. That same year, the Beyblade X Extreme Battle Set was the best-selling item in its entire toy category, according to retail tracking firm Circana. 15,000 people competed for a title that pays almost nothing. The company still wins every single time, whether any of them realize it or not. And like most toys with a big enough fan base, a secondary market grew around it. A basic starter set retails for somewhere around $10 to $20. One of the rarest Beyblades ever made, the Red Diablo Nemesis, had fewer than 100 ever produced. Depending on condition, collectors have paid over $2,000 for one, over 100 times the price of a starter set. One of the 2025 finalists was a man named Fahreddin, competing out of Istanbul. He first found Beyblade at 6 years old, watching the anime. He was given his first one by his grandmother. He calls himself a Beyblade engineer. For years he ran small tournaments with a local community of around 130 to 150 players who grew up playing together. In October 2025, as an adult, Fahreddin beat a competitor from Hong Kong in the final to become the open-class world champion. Nobody told him to stop playing when he grew up. The toy just kept giving him a reason not to. None of this happens without one failed idea inside Takara, years before any of it. The company had already tried spinning tops twice, and failed twice, with toy lines called Battletop and Sugagoma. An employee named Osamu Mashimo had one idea nobody had tried: let players customize the parts themselves. The first version, called Ultimate Dragoon, released in Japan in July 1999. Takara hired a manga artist named Takao Aoki to build a comic series around it. Its lead character was loosely modeled on Pokémon's own protagonist, and his rival was modeled on Pokémon's own antagonist. By 2001, a TV anime followed, then a feature film in 2002 called Beyblade: Fierce Battle. By 2002, an American company called Hasbro had licensed the whole thing for the rest of the world. One idea, after 2 failures, is the reason any of the rest of this story was even possible. Most people don't think of the toy they had as a kid as something with a business strategy attached to it. You probably assumed you just grew out of it, the way you grow out of most things. For a lot of people, that's exactly what happened, and that's fine. But for the ones who didn't, the ones who kept collecting, kept competing, kept trying to stay current, the toy made sure that staying current meant paying again. It's the same trick trading card games run every year, and the same one your own console library has mostly avoided, which is exactly why it stands out here. Beyblade didn't need you to notice. It just needed enough people to keep showing up every few years without asking why the old ones stopped being enough. Buying one basic starter set at each generation doesn't even add up to much, maybe $60 or $70 total, spread across more than 2 decades. The number was never really the point. The habit was. 4 times since 1999, and counting. This is the Markup.